Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii. Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii.
All right, so we are all set, not only on Spreaker, but here on the video live stream as well. So what you can do is you can also ask questions via Spreaker through this little chat function while we're doing this live. So that's pretty cool. Didn't even realize I had that option, to be honest with you. But I bought a new computer, and I've been playing around with it a little bit more. And, yeah, a couple different options. Pretty cool. Always a good thing. So my weekend was pretty fun. Got to go to Joshua Tree this week, as you all know. That was entertaining. It was much needed. I haven't been able to get out there for quite some time, so it was nice to be able to get back out there and do some hiking and some adventuring and picture taking. So, always a good thing. Running a little bit late tonight. Started at like 7:08 instead of the usual 7 p.m. I don't know what it is. I'm like in slow motion today. Like, you ever feel like you're in quicksand? You're like, that's how I feel right now. And it's not like I did anything too crazy. I mean, besides the camping adventure, Carrie and I just hung out all weekend. We haven't done much. So, I don't know what the hell's going on with me. I think that's the problem, though, when I don't do nothing, right? When I'm laying around like a slob, that's when I'm even more tired than if I'm super active. All right, so we had quite the interview with Dr. Stephen DeLay. And I'll tell you what, it's always nice to have somebody like that come onto the show and speak with you folks. I mean, you know, they say, oh, listen to the experts. Listen to the experts. It doesn't, you're not going to find much more of an expert than that. I mean, when you look at those credentials and you put those credentials up against some of these other knuckleheads that you hear piping off all the time, it's not even a question who is more of an expert or who is more credentialed. But anytime I'm able to sit down with him, it's always super informative. And this time around, it was disturbing as well, right? He didn't hold back. It was down to the nitty-gritty. He was going off on some topics that were chilling. I mean, but when you look at everything in context, like we always talk about here, and the overall picture, right, the big picture, it's rather obvious what's going on. And that Jeffrey Epstein, this isn't just like some one-off, you know what I mean? This is systemic. People always want to use the word systemic these days. It's like a buzzword, but this is really systemic. Lucian, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. But it's one of those situations where you just look at it and you're like, what the? I mean, I don't know, but the way he laid it all out was perfect. And then the 2 episodes, how he tied it all together, and was so critical of academia, because there's obviously a problem in academia, as he was pointing out, with some of the cases. And all you have to do is go and take a look at some of the other cases in the news, right? And it's rather obvious that it's not one side or the other either. Rob says, hey, Bobby, I got one for you. I haven't been able to catch up with you and Lisa and Jen this week. Busy trying to get my parents vaccinated. But what's the scuttlebutt about Ghislaine admitting to the tapes? Is it documented at all or just some seasoning to sell a book? Well, all we have is speculation, right? I think that if Ghislaine Maxwell had those tapes, that she'd be using them as leverage by now. That's probably what you would do if you had that kind of information, right? So I don't know if Ghislaine Maxwell per se has them. Does she know if they exist? She would know if they exist, and I don't doubt that they do in some fashion. But I definitely think she knows that they exist. But does she have them in her possession? I don't think so. So obviously, I think it's just scuttlebutt, a little bit of tea being dripped, perhaps. But like we always say, where there's some smoke, there's probably fire. So it's definitely worth a deeper look, obviously. And if somebody has access to those tapes or to information of those tapes existing, then that person should come forward, because it's pretty important that that stuff gets knocked into the public view, right? Hey, Anna, happy Sunday to you as well. Thanks for popping in. So, yeah, it quite possibly, Rob, maybe it's a little bit of both. It could be two things at once, right? Him trying to sell a book, and also perhaps that is his experience with these knuckleheads. What's up, MC? Happy Monday from down under. But, as we've seen throughout this whole entire thing, there's like a whole cottage industry about who could have the most salacious book come out with the most, wild thoughts and ideas and connections. So people have been making a fortune off of doing that. So I'm always very skeptical. But I definitely believe that those tapes do exist, because we have heard that from the survivors themselves. So when we hear that from the survivors themselves, obviously I'll always default to what they're telling us, because at this point, why would we think that they're doing anything but being honest, right? You look at all of the circumstantial evidence that we have, and it's damning for these people. It is very damning for these people. For so long, even the circumstantial evidence wasn't being brought to the public. But now that that's out there, and then you have some court documents that are dropping, you have unsealed documents that are dropping, and, you also have all the different firsthand accounts of people that have been around or affiliated in one way or the other that have come forward to corroborate these accounts. So yeah, definitely there's probably a lot to it when it comes to the video. But as far as possession, that's really where I can't give you an answer, because I don't know who's in possession of these videos, right? I would hope that it's the federal government. You would think that it would be the federal government. But I don't know. If it's Maxwell, then she's definitely going to use them as leverage. What else does she have right now? We see her spastic attempts to try and get herself off the hook. We see the way she conducts herself as far as, with all sorts of appeals and trying to use every loophole you could possibly imagine. So if she has tapes, you definitely think that she would try and leverage them. So I don't know. It's all up in the air, right? I guess we'll see as we get closer to the trial and stuff, what the prosecution does have or doesn't have. Now, all of this stuff should have been collected when he was first arrested and when Maxwell was arrested, right? When they did those raids and acted on those search warrants. But we never heard anything like that, so... Patty says, speaking of the survivors, I hope they're listening to your casts, because I want them to sue the effing government for failing to protect them, starting with the no prosecution agreement. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, right? People are getting sued for much less these days. And at the very least, at the core of what the government and the federal Department of Justice is there for is to protect us from predators, right? That's what they're getting paid for. That's what the tax dollars are being administered for. And that's what we expect and what we should expect. That's not happening. So I think that the survivors have a good case, and they should bring it. I think they should sue everybody, honestly. Everybody that was involved. I know that if it was my family members, that's what I would be advising them. At the very least, I'm not a lawyer, right? But I'd bring it to the lawyers and say, hey, do we have any sort of path to victory here? And I wouldn't even care about money or anything, just to make the point so it doesn't happen again, right? Get it down on the annals of history that these scumbags screwed everything up. And I'd start with Mukasey all the way down. And I would hammer them all. I would subpoena them all. I mean, look, the precedent now has been set, right? They tried to subpoena, they tried to get rid of a president impeach a president that wasn't even sitting, right? So if that's the case, then why should any official in the government who has worked for the government not be held to those same standards? So they should go after Mukasey after the fact. They should go after all of these people after the fact. Because obviously we can do that. There's precedent now, and if Pandora's box is opened, then let's at least use it and use the tools that are provided in it to go after these scumbags, right? But they don't. The thing is, how much backbone do they have? How far are they willing to go? Rob says they never helped Maria, and if they did, Miami might never have happened. 100%. I mean, look at how long ago Maria came forward and spoke out against these animals. And if they would have stopped it dead in its tracks right there, forget it. It would have been a wrap. Epstein would have been in prison. We would have never been having this conversation. None of us would have known each other. You certainly would have known who I am, because this would have never occurred. But unfortunately, the negligence in the bureaucracy that we call the Justice Department gets us to where we're at. Candace says, Rob, the feds did that before with the Franklin scandal cover-up with Lawrence King in Nebraska, and it went all the way up to Reagan and Bush Sr. Yes, it did. There's literally no doubt about it. What was going on in the Reagan White House is absolutely disgusting. They had all kinds of wild stuff going on over there. And the Franklin scandal was just some of the worst of it. And, the Franklin scandal falls under the same umbrella of the other scandals that Dr. DeLay was talking about. You had the nuns, you had Dutroux. Unbelievable. Pop says, hi, Bobby. Dr. DeLay episodes, unbelievable. Yep, I agree. The guy's, look, at the end of the day, it's one thing for me to get up here and talk about what I talk about, right? I'm just some normal guy like you folks. I'm certainly didn't go to Oxford, and I certainly don't have a PhD in anything but sarcasm. But someone like that comes up and they start talking about certain things and they lay it out, and it's it brings a lot of credibility to the topic and to what we're discussing, and it shows you that people who are highly intelligent and highly motivated are not on the sidelines anymore, and they're demanding accountability from their peers and their colleagues. And I think that's where it starts, right? We can't rely on the government. What do they ever do? They don't ever do anything correctly. Don't even get me started. So if we rely on the people within these industries to hold their colleagues to a higher standard, I think that's definitely a good place to start. Because, the government always takes a little bit of time to get on board, right? So, anytime that we have a chance to talk to the good doctor, it's always a enjoyable amount of time. I sat there we recorded both of those episodes back to back. So, we talked for about, I don't know, when you add all the stuff that we didn't record, probably for about 4 hours. And it flew by. So I hope that all of you found the content useful and that you all enjoyed those episodes. They were pretty rough episodes, though, right? Some of the content he covered, some of the cases that he covered, pretty rough stuff, and it's hard to digest that stuff. MC says Reagan was best mates with Roy Cohn, pedophile, best mates with Trump, Murdoch. Yeah, no, Reagan definitely was right in the middle of all of this wild stuff. I think the whole Roy Cohn thing is kind of overblown, to be honest with you. I think people give that a little bit more power than it really is or has. Roy Cohn was a powerful guy for a while. I mean, he got John Gotti off of a murder charge, so he definitely was a powerful dude. But I think it's kind of a throw off the path a little bit when people are so focused on Roy Cohn. Candace says, Craig Spence was involved with king trafficking as well. Luckily, we can band together and raise voices. Yeah, that's until they censor all of us, right? I mean, how long before that happens? How long before we're all considered insurgents and they're looking to drone strike us or something? I know that sounds wild and it sounds absolutely absurd. But, the way things are going, who the hell knows? I'm not going to rehash how I feel about.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Censorship, we've already covered that. And I don't have anything else to add to it, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But I think that it's integral that we have an open debate and that we do not push people who could become extremists into a corner with other extremists where there's no other voices to challenge their crazy ideas because they're in an echo chamber. It's just a bad look, and it's not a hallmark of a free society for sure. So as far as banding all together, I think it's really awesome that we're able to do that, because before the internet or social media, there was no way you could harness this kind of power, right? You'd have to show up on the side of the street with some signs and hope people show up. Hey, what's up, H? How's it going, man? Hope you're having a good Sunday. Welcome to the party. Candace, I don't know. Candace says, what's up with your iTunes, Bobby? And still, same thing, in limbo. I can't get an answer for them. Nobody wants to send me an email back. So whatever. I just keep it moving at this point, right? It's amazing, even without iTunes. We're at like 1.725 million downloads or something like that. And we're just going to keep pushing forward. So whatever, iTunes can do whatever they want. They can be as wild as they want to be and as ridiculous as they want to be, but it's not going to stop me. Once you're in motion, there's no other way but to just keep going, right? And like I always say, if it comes down to a bullhorn with me in Las Vegas, me on Las Vegas Boulevard shouting through it, then that's what it'll be. Pop, I don't think I'm banned. It's more of a shadow ban, right? People that have the podcast already through iTunes can continue to receive it, but it's no longer in the directory, and when you search it, it's no longer there as well. So I don't know what sort of games they're up to, but they're absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. It's amazing, right? And no offense to Sammy the Bull Gravano, old paisano, but the dude's a serial killer. Nobody's banned him on YouTube. Nobody's kicked him off of iTunes. But you got us here every night talking about corruption and government malfeasance and even a lot worse, obviously. And, well, I guess that's dangerous language. Yo, AJF, man, I'm at the point, my dude, where I'm a vagabond, bro, a political vagabond for the last 2 years. What I have seen has been so absurd and so disgusting that as someone who was trained as a political scientist, I'm embarrassed, bro, to even get involved in any of that kind of conversation. And certainly none of the tribalism. Certainly not the tribalism. Those days are long over for me. Lucian says, Sammy the Bull ain't bringing the wood. Nah, not really, but his stories are cool, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to lie, I listened to some of his chats on YouTube. Candace says, amazing numbers, message getting out. You know what, Candace, I really hope so. And even if it's just us, right, then that's what it is. But I'm going to be here pounding out the message until forever. H says, one of my friends says she's been into this case since 2016. I don't doubt it. There's been people that have been into this case forever, like someone who is an unsung hero in this case is Conchita Sarnoff. We don't talk about her nowhere near enough, and she should get props. She's been talking about this shit forever, certainly since way before I even thought about this case. So yeah, I don't doubt it. 2016, that sounds viable to me. I mean, there's been people that have been on this forever, and those people should all get a tip of the cap. I mean, my one regret is that I didn't learn about this sooner to get involved. Hey, what's up, David? Thanks. David says, you are a great man for doing this for so long. I appreciate it, but, sometimes you just got to stand up, right? I feel like I'm the greatest character of them all. Believe me, like I always say, I'm not an advocate. I'm not like a Me Too guy. I'm pretty like rude and crude with my vocabulary. I think shit it's funny when it shouldn't be a lot of the times, right? But when it comes to stuff like this, it's time to just stand up, good or bad or anything in between. I mean, even a guy like Sandor Clegane would be standing up to some shit like this. So I appreciate that, right? But I think that it's my duty as a citizen and as somebody who is concerned with what's going on here that I have to stand up. See? And then there you go, right there with Virginia coming in and correcting the narrative. That's why these conversations are so good. Virginia says Sarnoff is not a good person. I could compare her to others, but then enticing another legal battle. Take it from me. She's another vampire. I wish I could say different. Point taken, Virginia. See? And again, every time that I do one of these live broadcasts or we speak with somebody who's actually lived this, those are the people to listen to, not to any of these reporters or anybody reporting on it. The actual people who live this story, that's who we should be listening to. And I don't know if you heard the 2 episodes, Virginia, with Dr. DeLay that were over this weekend, but you should definitely check it out because I think you'd really love what he had to say. He has a lot of really fantastic things to say, and the way he tied everything together with how this is such a huge problem is amazing. Rob says, is it wrong to hope for some kind of leaked censored footage from one of the brave souls that might want to do the right thing? I would never want any child re-exposed to any of the horror, but the feds boil my... sorry about that. The feds will do what they are supposed to do to protect children. To me, the feds are basically complicit in Epstein's organization, and it both boils my blood for these survivors, it scares me to the core, and turns my stomach. Big facts. Virginia says, Will do, mate. Thanks again for your dedication. Hey, you know what, Virginia? The only thing I could say, honestly, like I told Maria when I talk to Maria all the time, like I told her, I'm only sorry that I didn't know earlier, right? So I could have spoken up earlier about this because this is so ridiculous and it's so absurd what you and all of the other girls, the unnamed girls, have had to go through for all of these years with nobody ever standing up. I mean, come on, man. I guess what I'm trying to say is to take on some monsters, you can't be afraid of the dark. And for me, where I am, I have zero problem wading into those waters and dealing with these people. Check and mate, because they don't scare me. I'm not fearful of them. They're just a bunch of clowns. That's really what it comes down to. And just like any bully, when you crack them in the mouth, even if you lose the fight or you start losing the fight, they think different the second time around because there's easier targets out there, right? So these people, the narrative is snatched from them. 2020 was the year that the predator became the prey, and 2021, well, this is the year we press the advantage, right? I always talk about football analogies, how we have the ball on the 50. Well, now the ball's on their 30, and I'm not looking to get a field goal. I'm looking to get a touchdown and really put the foot on these people's neck. And for me, that is those RICO charges when they get dropped. That's like scoring the touchdown, right? The backbreaker. So I'm really hoping that happens soon some superseded indictments get dropped on these people, because there's no way that Keith Raniere should be getting a racketeering RICO charge. R. Kelly should be getting a RICO and racketeering charge, but Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't. There's no way in hell that that'll ever sit okay with me. And I will raise all kinds of nonsense if that is the case, because there's no justification for it. I mean, I've seen people that I know personally, people that I care about and I love, destroyed by RICO cases, destroyed by them, all for gambling or, getting caught up in some stuff that, they shouldn't be doing, right? And they'd be willing to take their penalty, but the RICO is draconian, and I'm usually not a fan of it. But if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Pop says, yes, Dr. DeLay was very interesting, but I had to take a shower after listening. Pop, my mom and dad listened too, and they said the same thing. They couldn't listen to both episodes back to back. And that's why I split them up the way I did, one in the night and then one in the morning, give people some time to process what we talked about, because it was real deep. And the way that Dr. DeLay breaks it down and really goes into detail, no holds barred, it's chilling. I sat there and I was disgusted the whole time. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say it. When I'm done with these discussions, I feel like drinking bleach. I honestly feel like drinking bleach, because I'm so disgusted by all of these people involved and all of the things we talk about, that after this is over and done with, and after I've seen this through to Ghislaine Maxwell getting convicted, I cannot wait to talk about less heavy topics with you folks. Now, of course, we're never going to shy away from shit that I think matters, but we're going to talk about less heavy things too, because after this whole run and what we've discussed here, we have to, talk about something a little light every now and then, I think, because this is it's just crazy what Virginia and these other girls went through, and and nobody's standing up. I mean, it's shameful. It's shameful. Patty says, feds, academia, and big corporations are only complicit when they stand to profit. Poor folks are treated according to the law, and therefore the two tiers. Patty, you were 100% correct. The only crime to these people is being poor. If you're not poor and you got money, it's all good, right? You could do whatever you want. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. Look at Ghislaine Maxwell. She was going to Jeffrey Bezos' little parties every, year, these little backyard shindigs. Nobody cared what these people were up to. They only care when they get caught, and then they have to distance themselves, right? They play that game. Elizabeth says, does Virginia ever join these lives? Elizabeth, you're in business. She's in here right now, in fact. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm sure she just pops in and then pops out. A busy life, Who has time to sit around and listen to my big bearded mouth all night? I'm surprised that you folks show up every Sunday for this. Honestly, I figured you guys would be tired of this nonsense by now. But all kidding aside, personally, I love being here on Sundays with you. This is I look forward to this. Usually when football season ends and I can't have any more degenerate bets on Sundays, I don't like Sundays anymore, really. But now that we have this to look forward to, I'm pumped about it. So, yeah, it's really cool that we have these Sundays. I mean, it's awesome that Virginia pops in every now and then to say hey to us and hang out. I mean, it's great. And I'm glad. What I'm really happy about is that she feels comfortable enough to do that, right? And that's because you folks are good. You folks are good people. At the end of the day, the core people that are here on this live stream every Sunday, you folks you're my people. This is my tribe. Right? If this was post-apocalyptic times, all you people will be welcomed at my homestead, right? Because you're all good people. And even though I've never met most of you in real life, I could tell that you're good people. You put in the time and the commitment, coming here every single day, listening to the podcast, being involved, writing letters, whatever it is. Everybody's played their part. And it's just refreshing to see that amongst all the chaos and all the people that are supposed to hate each other and the way the corporate overlords have tried to set us against each other, it's nice to see that people can see through that bullshit and get to the core principle, and that is, at the end of the day, we all just want to live a better life, right? David says, do you think she goes to trial or makes a deal? I think she's going to go to trial. I really definitely think she's going to go to trial. AJF says, with academia, it's also to protect the prestige and avoid controversy. Also, they protect their sponsors as well. Knew an instructor or two had to deal with that kind of shit. Yeah, AJF, my guest from this weekend, Dr. DeLay, got all into that. He talked about all of it, bro. The grooming process, just a whole bunch of wild stuff. And academia is as guilty as anyone could possibly be in the case of Jeffrey Epstein. Candace says, Bobby, going to go to New Mexico in the spring? You know, Candace, as long as they lift those restrictions, like I've been talking about, you know I want to get back down there. And I'm totally ready and willing to go. But I'm not sitting in a hotel room for 14 days with some draconian-ass Orwellian law where I...
Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips, too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii. Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips, too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii.
Have to be in quarantine. I'm not doing it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It would cost like close to $2,000 to sit in a hotel room for what? So as soon as those restrictions are lifted, however, I'm going down there, no doubt about it. And I'm going to see what else I can dig up. The first trip was very eye-opening, right? Talking to some of the locals. You know, you folks all heard it. And that was only a few months after I started the podcast. So I was just getting my feet wet. I really wasn't, I hadn't found my groove yet about who I was on this podcast, right? How I wanted to present things and how things should be delivered. But now I feel like I'm hitting my groove now. And when we're playing sports or something, you say you're in the flow. So I feel like I'm in the flow right now, and I'd love to get back out there and have some help. Bring a team with me, bring some people that could, do some camera work, stuff like that. And get out there and do it the justice it deserves. Patty says, same. This is my Sunday jam, Bobby. I love you, Virginia. You are a hero to not only us, but to those who may follow your lead and stand up with the strength you couldn't access in your youth. Yeah, look, I mean, I know it sounds silly, right? And like hyperbolish and stuff like that, but it's the truth. The bravery shown by Virginia and the rest of these ladies is just, it blows me away because these are powerful ass people. I have colleagues in the financial sector who are scared shitless of these people. They won't say a word out of line. Come on the podcast? Yeah, right. And you have people like Virginia and Maria and Annie and Courtney and all of the other girls who have said enough is enough. So that shit that's powerful and it's motivating to me. I'm like I'm your prototypical alpha male, right? So I see that kind of stuff and I'm like, damn, that's hard. I like a fighter. And to see that from people who have been not only chewed up and spit out by the system, but by the elites that run this system, man, it's pretty inspiring. Virginia says, without saying too much, the next few months are going to be very interesting. We're seeing a new era in the terms of survivors being heard, and not only that, but seeing justice. Thank you to all of you who support us, survivors, and Mr. Capucci. Unknowingly, you are making the world a better place for our kids. Virginia, when I first started this, I would have never expected, you to even hear anything I'm saying, right? And I don't, ever bother any of you survivors. I don't tag you folks in anything or try and pass my work on to you. If you want to listen to it, that's great. If not, that's cool too. I don't really care one way or the other, because at the end of the day, that's not why I do this. I'm not farming likes. I'm not selling anything. I don't have anything to sell. Nothing you'd want to buy, that's for sure. So I'm here because I feel like this is a worthy cause. And I feel like somebody needed to stand up and say something. There was a void. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of people that were standing up and talking about this, right? The Weinstein brothers have talked about it a lot. You have comedians like Andrew Schultz who have stood up and said this shit is disgusting and gross. But for me, I feel like it's it's personal for me now. This isn't just like a story I'm reporting on, because I'm not a journalist. I'll never consider myself a journalist. I'm a commentator. But this is personal to me. And even though I've never met you, Virginia, or I've never met Maria in person, I feel like I owe it to you. Just like if we were in high school and someone was picking on you and I didn't know you, I would step in. That's the kind of person I am. So when I seen what was going on here, if my fat mouth can make even a little bit of a difference, game on. Let's rock. So here we are. And we're going to keep it going because, like I said, the pressure is on. The pressure is definitely on, and they can't handle it. They don't like it when it's coming the other way. They don't like when people are pushing the envelope. They like to be in control, and that's the hallmark of people like this. People like this are used to getting their way. They're used to bullying people. They're used to using their power to shove people around. But that's not going to happen. Not to me. At the end of the day, they can't ruin me, right? I just got done. I spent every single dollar I had making sure that my soulmate was good throughout cancer. Every dollar of savings I had, everything I had. So that, they can't take nothing else from me, right? So bring it. I don't even care. And that's like a freeing feeling. It's like a burden lifted off you when I have no corporate job to worry about. They can't cancel me. None of that. So guess what? Here we are. And we're gonna keep it going. And if they want to get into a street fight, then it's a street fight. That's what I excel in. I'm not out here playing games with nobody. This isn't a joke to me. This isn't some journalistic chase to get the story out first. I don't care about any of that stuff. I want these people to go to prison. And I want one day, at least for one day, with these people getting prosecuted and convicted, to look at the system and say, all right, well, maybe it's working at least for today. Can we start there, please? I mean, at the very least, can we start there? Because I'm at the point where, I've already been looking at using my heritage to get dual citizenship to split to Italy. I don't want to live like this. Everybody fighting with each other all the time and shit like that. No way, man. So I think that it's a good idea that the justice system doing the right thing for once would give us something we can all agree on for a little while. Lucian said, did you see the Joe Rogan episode with Alex Jones? I actually did. I watch a lot of Joe Rogan. Not so much that he's on Spotify now, but I try and catch it as much as I can. I'm just a little busy lately, so I haven't really been up to date on my favorite podcasts. I really like Lex Friedman, though. Michael Malice is great. You know me, I'm a rebel. I'm your quintessential rebel. So I like people with those kind of viewpoints, right? I dig that kind of shit. And I'm not scared of viewpoints that are different than mine. I don't have to agree with you to like you. That's called being an adult, right? And I think during the last 4 or 5 years, things have gotten a little skewed, and we need to get away from that. Rob says, clock is ticking. In your opinion, do you think we will see a verdict in favor of Courtney's case to rescind the NPA? Rob, I really hope so. Yo, did that freeze? I really hope so. I hope that we see that. And if not, I hope that that Courtney kicks it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, I don't have too much faith in the Supreme Court. Look, anywhere that's littered with people from Harvard, you can count me out. I'm not impressed by Harvard. I'm not a fan of Harvard. I don't think that Harvard's this great bastion of intellectual study. Count me out. All of these Ivy League schools at this point, it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the money. You really think that an education should cost somebody $300,000? I mean, come on, get out of here. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, before the yeah, I think so, Rob. I really do. I mean, obviously they're going to use the excuse that the COVID pandemic is causing slowdowns or whatever on the docket. But I think that before we see that case go to trial, we're going to get a decision there with the NPA. I really do think that that's the case. Oh, they sure love their censorship, don't they, Kristen? Kristen says censorship at its best. And it's funny, when I talk about censorship, I know a lot of listeners were probably shocked when I first talked about it, right? Emotions were running high. And I know people could have taken it as, oh, well, you think Trump should still be on Twitter. It's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. It's not about politics. It's about our freedoms and the conversation moving. We have to make sure this conversation keeps moving and that we don't hinder that. Because without us having a conversation, then it's really bad news, folks. Really bad news. There's not many things I know about, but I know the history of what comes next when people can't get along. Virginia says, my hubs is Italian, and we so want to get dual residency there. We might be neighbors one day. Hey, I'll tell you what, Carrie and I would love that, Virginia. Plenty of stuff in Italy to do, and I have a ton of relatives I'd love to get closer to in Italy. My family's been there since the Roman times. You know, we could trace them back all the way back to the old days. And I really would love to get in touch with my Italian heritage a lot more. I'm also Irish, and I have family in Ireland that we've connected with. And the relatives that I know over there are living in the same village, some of the same houses for hundreds of years, since like the 1600s. So that sort of thing's amazing to me. You're getting in touch with your heritage and learning about that kind of thing. So I would really love to get to Italy, meet some of my relatives, and hell, be neighbors with you? Yeah, count me in. That would be great. Sure, we'd have a blast. Getting citizenship in Italy, dual citizenship, isn't that hard either if you're second or third generation removed. See, Irish. That explains it all, Virginia. You being Irish, just like Maria, that's why you're not getting bullied by these people. For history, our people on that island were getting bullied, right? Nah, not no more. Irish people have had enough. So that's why you see Irish people so confrontational all the time. And if you think you're pulling one over on the Irish, think again. Yeah, Rob, you definitely look like you're Italian, bro. No doubt about it. Jen says, the Welsh or the Irish couldn't swim. I didn't hear, Jen, how did you slip in again? I didn't even see you. What are you're so sneaky. I bet you Lisa's lurking around here somewhere too. I didn't see her. She's hanging out by the back door, about to kick it in. AJF says, while they're different cases entirely, I feel like this shit to actually believing in survivors and seeking out justice for them started with Hannibal Buress using his stand-up shows to put Bill Cosby on blast. Milano, as well, going after Weinstein, but she's come off as a hypocrite since last year, so her efforts are seen disingenuous. Prior to this, and even today still sadly, it was all about blaming the victims, but seems to be getting better. Yep, you're right. It definitely was about blaming the survivors, bro. That was the MO. But I don't think that strategy is going to work. Not in the Epstein case, anyway. They had that bullet in their gun and they used it already during the original go-around when they were using MySpace profiles to try and destroy these little girls. So that shit is sailed. I don't think any juror in the world is ever going to buy into that. And when this case starts and the trial really kicks in and all of these girls are brought before the jurors, man, it's going to be a wrap. I don't understand. That's why you see Maxwell's team going so crazy right now and acting so wild with all of this shit. Because they know they don't have the truth on their side. She's not innocent. Deirdre says, if the NPA is not nuked, I will. I don't know what I will do. That's got to be the most shameful pile of flaming horseshit I've seen in my life. Yeah, I agree. If that is withheld, it is one of the biggest travesties of justice, perhaps in history, at least in my life, because I don't even know what in the hell anyone could possibly be thinking as far as a lawyer. To think that that's a good idea, or a judge. How in the world could you possibly think that NPA is a good idea or that it has merit? Especially, here's the thing, folks. Let's remember that people who wrote the law filed an amicus brief in support of Courtney, saying that it was not being used the way it was written. So who are we going to believe? The people who wrote it or the idiots who are trying to analyze it? I'm going to go with the people who wrote it. Virginia says, I'm fighting someone, as you all know, who uses bullying as a tactic. Can we all teach them a lesson? We are no longer going to be knocked down by their words. Our actions speak louder. Well, absolutely. Without speaking any names, like you say, I'm pretty sure we all know who you're talking about. And that person is one of the biggest ridiculous morons in this whole entire fiasco. And it really cracks me up. I was talking to my mom and dad about this. I was like, I've never seen a bigger group of degenerates in my life. And I used to run a sports book in Las Vegas. Imagine managing a sports book and not seeing a bigger group of degenerates ever in your life than what's going on right now. Come on. These people are sick. Every single one of them are sick, especially the volleyball player. All right? Mr. Underpants. Rob says that's why they should be ashamed at how long it's taking for them to reach a discussion. Yeah, I agree. Look, this should be priority. This case should be priority. All the other shit they talk about, I don't even want to hear from Congress until the words Epstein and Maxwell are included. They want to bring shit up for everything. I mean, they want people to come up there for steroids. They want people to come up there for this, that, the other thing. Meanwhile, they were all hanging out at this dude's pad, going to adventures with him, taking his money. But we can't have a hearing about this? Yeah, the amicus brief is powerful in my opinion, Rob, and I think more should be. I think it should be discussed more, because when you have people that wrote the law, right? How are we going to disregard what these people say? They're the ones who are the law makers. The 11th Circuit Court, they're not there to make the law. They're there to interpret the law. So if the lawmakers are saying it's one thing, then I don't want to hear, oh, well, this is the way I interpret it. We don't want to hear that. All right? This is the law. Oh, Elizabeth, because that idiot says, oh, yeah, I got a massage, but I kept my underpants on. And we all know what massage means in Jeffrey Epstein's world, right? We're not stupid here. You're not going to pull one over on us. We all know what your code words are. You're not the wind talkers. You're not that slick, okay? We know what you're up to, and we know what massage means, Captain Underpants. Patty says, dude, why the hell is Underpants still a guest contributor on freaking cable news? Because cable news is an absolute cesspool. And that goes for all of it. Fox News, MSNBC, all of it. I won't watch any of that trash. I have too much respect for myself. It's all rage porn. It's all divisive nonsense. They're feeding you lies. The worst thing that's ever happened to the population is that oblong box in the corner of your room. If you're going to watch trash TV like the news, just watch reality TV. I could totally hook you up with a bunch of reality TV shows that I love that are just as trashy as the news. And you'd be smarter for watching them. And much more enjoyable, by the way. All the news will do is make you crazy. They'll make you think everybody hates each other, make you think this one hates that one. It's a bunch of bullshit. Don't buy into it. Don't watch it. And certainly don't support it with your dollars. Now you're talking, Jen. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. One of my favorites. Like I said, any sort of reality TV, I'm giving it a shot. It all started with Flavor of Love. God, what a masterpiece of destruction and chaos. Patty says, I love reality. I think Underpants would be a terrific contestant. He should be on The Challenge and a season with CT, so CT can eat his face. Virginia says, you're a legend, mate. So much better than CNN or Fox. Hey, thanks, Virginia. Look, I used to be so caught up in that garbage, too, when it comes to the news. I used to watch the shit out of that news because I was gaslit. And I thought it was a big game. Oh, liberal, oh, conservative. They're my tribe. I won, you won, this one. We're all losing. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. We're all losing. What has changed? What's going to change? Nothing. Oh, it's packaged a little bit better. More drone strikes. More endless war. Who needs that? All that money that they're going to spend on war, how about we use that to provide health care for the American people? David says, I hope you write the book when it's over. You know what, David? I've really been thinking about putting together an audio book using the content that we already have after all of this is said and done, and then just put it out for, anybody to check out. Candace says, Flavor of Love was so good. Oh, it was the best. It was literally the best. My little sister, shout out to my sister Jamie, probably not listening, but shout out to my sister Jamie for getting me involved in Flavor of Love. I hated reality TV. I also hated iPhones, by the way. And she got me hooked on Flavor of Love and reality TV. And it's been a downhill spiral ever since. I can't stop watching. Bad Girls Club was the biggest disaster in history. Rob says, this sounds cheesy, Bobby, but I would totally vote you in to head the SDNY investigation. I don't trust any of these high-ups. Hey, Rob, there's this guy, I sound like a dork here, but whatever. There's this guy named Torrhen Stark from Game of Thrones, and he went down during a war, right? And he was made the Hand of the King for one day, and his job was to administer justice for that one day. And that's what I would love to do. Come in, administer justice for one day, and then split back to my normal life. And I'll tell you what, that's if I ever had the chance, believe me, these people would face the highest crime that I could find on the books for them, right? You all know me. I work within the system. I'm not some kind of crazy dictator type person, because if it could be done to them, it could be done to us. So I want it to be within the parameters of what we have here. The RICO laws go far enough. And let's use those. That's what I would do. Jen says, I also hated reality, but damn, that Lisa dragged me down the rabbit hole of Real Housewives and those Quiverful family, the Duggars. No, I can't mess with the Duggars. That's going a little far for me. What's like this Plathville or whatever. Those are a little crazy. I want like a lot of drama, right? I like the love reality shows where these people are fighting over each other, and you got a knucklehead like Flavor Flav who's sitting there like he's the king of the world, or God's gift. Meanwhile, he's like a Boise 4, right? But all these girls are fighting over him and shit. I love that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, the Cuomo brothers are definitely the worst. The Cuomo family is the worst. Talk about nepotism. They want to cry about nepotism on CNN all the time, but that's one of the biggest cases of nepotism. How are you going to have one brother interviewing the other brother? Oh no, this isn't a puff piece. I'm going to give my brother a bunch of hard questions. Unless this is the band Oasis that we're talking about, right? How the brothers really hate each other, then I don't buy that you're you're not going to give him some softball questions. So save the BS, pass me by, get into a different lane. I certainly don't want to hear it. So there's about as much chance of me tuning into the Iraqi daily news as there is to me watching CNN. I will not do that to myself. I have more respect for myself than that. And same goes for Fox. And that goes for all of the people on Fox, right? I will not tune in. I will not tune in. Count me out. I'm not playing their game no more. See, that's the thing. I choose not to play their game. I choose to dictate how I live my life. I choose to dictate what I think and what I believe. I'm not living in an echo chamber. I'm not being pigeonholed. I'm not being shoehorned. And I'm certainly not being bullied into thinking something that I don't think. Ever. So when you hear me talk on this podcast, you better believe it's 100% how I feel and the unadulterated truth. And that's how it's always going to be. And if it ever gets to a point where it can't be like that, then like I said, time to go to Las Vegas Boulevard with a bullhorn going crazy. Because, enough is enough. Enough is enough with these people. If we don't all stand up and tell them that they can't, what sort of society doesn't stand up for the kids? Children. How is child trafficking a divisive issue? Oh, it's QAnon. I'm so glad Dr. DeLay smashed that into smithereens yesterday. How they're using that as a red herring. Or when Virginia would use a hashtag like hashtag save the children, you'd have a bunch of knuckleheads. Oh, well, that's a QAnon thing. And shut up. All right? Shut up. Pretty simple. Shut up. Stop muddying the waters. Everybody should agree that child trafficking is abhorrent and should not be done in any society, never mind our own. But yet you still find people using that as a fulcrum, find people using that as a divisive point. It makes me so mad. Jen, look, what about all of the disinformation about the Russia situation? Look, I know people hate to hear this too, but Trump's gone now. You don't have to worry about him winning or me whipping votes against your guy, all right? It's over. So can we have some truth? Russia was BS, all right? Point blank period. BS, guys. Politics. And that's the problem. Both sides do it. And QAnon, look, I don't even, all I have to say is just refer to what Dr. DeLay had to say about QAnon and about how it's being used as a red herring in this situation. Virginia says, right? How are we not fighting harder for our kids? They deserve better, period. Don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, blue or green, our kids need us. 100%. And I don't even have kids. I don't have children. But here we are, right? I know that it's worth fighting for. I know that that's the future. I know that whatever little legacy I leave is going to be carried on by the children. So if we don't protect them and we have a society where they're fair game to these animals, then that's certainly not a society that I believe in. AJF says, crazy that you say that because the few times I watched Al Jazeera, they were more credible than CNN or Fox. I've used them in papers in the past or at least used the same sources they listed. Yeah, Al Jazeera is based in the UAE though. So Al Jazeera, they get it in. Don't get me wrong. I like Al Jazeera too. I definitely, I rock with Al Jazeera all the time. I rock with the Free Syrian Monitor. Look, you know me in the Middle East. A ton of sources. Like, I can't even get into all of the sources here. We don't have enough time. But as you know, especially AJF, knowing me in real life being, my cousin and all, you know that your boy is locked in when it comes to the Middle East. That's my bread and butter. And that was one of my biggest issues with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, and look, Jen is a journalist, right? Jen is somebody, a credible journalist who knows what she's talking about. And she says Al Jazeera has a good rep. I agree, they definitely do. I know that some people are put off by it because it's Al Jazeera, right? Oh, the boogeyman in the Middle East. Breaking news, there is no boogeyman, all right? We're our own boogeyman, folks. That's the biggest problem. We're our own boogeyman. And all of this political theater that you see from both sides of the aisle, what do you think, Benghazi wasn't political theater? They could have went about that a different way. They could have done that investigation a different way, but they had to politicize it. They had to make a thing about it. And it's really, my point is, it's all harmful, a wasted time. This is time that we could be focused on people like Jeffrey Epstein. How did Epstein function in our society? How was he able to move around with the big shots, the big wigs? How was he able to not be caught? Who was protecting him? Why did he get this deal? Those questions should be asked under oath, but they're not. Instead, we get more political theater, more kayfabe, and it's like WWE. They act like they hate each other, then McConnell and Schumer are out having a sandwich together afterwards. We got to be smarter than that shit, folks, and not get roped into it. Jen says, I also spent more than a decade on the Federal Council of the Australian New Zealand Journalists Professional Association, and when it comes to ethical, non-biased reporting, AJ was right up there with the best, because everyone decided their money was more valuable than the children they saw Jeff abusing, Jen says as well. Yeah, you're right about that. Both things, Jen. I've never heard that Al Jazeera wasn't credible. Now, do they have their own slant?
Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020, underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Of course they do. Every one of these outlets has their own slant. You got to look at whoever's in the editorial room. Those are the people that are making those decisions, right? They're the ones that are going to really set the course. And that's how these editorial rooms work, right? A journalist room, they come in and the editor has the final say, not the journalist. So you could write something up and the editor could totally trash your shit. So really my problem is with the editors and then the weak-spined journalists that don't stand up to these editors. Those are the people I have a problem with because it's a joke, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm different. I've never had a boss that I've been scared to stand up to. I've never had a job where I've been like, oh, something's wrong. I'm not going to say this is wrong. I'm just going to go along with it to get a paycheck. Maybe I'm just not cut out that way. And maybe that's why my life has been so difficult my whole life. But I can. I'm not just going to, if I have a boss who's a piece of trash, I'm going to say something to him. And I think that these journalists should do the same. And especially now, look at how there's many different ways as a content creator to make money. So you don't need to be working for one of these big outlets if you have good content, right? Your crowd, your fans are going to support you. Patty says, Obama could have been impeached for Benghazi. It's all crap BS staging. And all while Epstein is in jail for a few hours and the survivors have less than nothing. Yep, it's all political theater, right, Patty? Look, should an investigation happen? Probably. Does it need to go public the way it does? No. And it was garbage. It makes everything so bad. Elizabeth says, our society sucks because of the capitalism and the way we bow down to rich people. It is so sad. Well, I think it's more crony capitalism, right, Elizabeth? Capitalism in itself has pulled more people out of poverty than anything, right? I don't have a problem with capitalism. I'm certainly not a socialist, and I'm certainly not a communist or anything like that. But I think I'm not going to be naive and say changes don't need to be made. As you all know, I have a very non-capitalist belief when it comes to regulating the banking system. So again, I won't be pigeonholed, right? I could have I could be a capitalist for most of the things I believe in, but also believe in socialized medicine. And I think we need to get out of the being put in a box, and we could have varied opinions, right? oh, well, you don't believe everything I believe, so you're not part of my group. Where it should be, all right, well, I get it. So you believe most of what I believe, and, so we're allies. But we don't even have that anymore. Elizabeth says the way we bow down to rich people is the issue. I agree with that, 100%. I think that we have given, and when I say rich people, I mean the billionaires. We have given them way too much power over us. I was just reading an article that there is talk that the government of Nevada is going to let these technocrats set up their own cities within the borders of Nevada with their own courts, their own schools. And I mean, hello, Huxley, are you paying attention? Huxley's rolling over in his grave right now. I mean, really? We're going to let these corporations have their own cities within the borders of Nevada? This is absolutely ridiculous. So I haven't even got to that. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on how I feel about stuff like that. It's an overreach, and the corporatocracy in this country, I believe, is the real problem. Elizabeth says there are good aspects of capitalism, of course, but when it allows rich people to do what they want, well, I agree. Yeah, that's crony capitalism, and it shouldn't be like that. Everybody should have the opportunity to get a taste of the pie. And I don't mean trickle-down economics. I mean a true chance to get a taste of the pie. And that starts in where you're from, right? The schools that you have access to. The jobs that your parents might be able to have to afford for you to go to those schools. It's a lot. And where do we start, right? How do we fix it? My opinion, infrastructure. We need infrastructure in this country. And why don't we do a $12 trillion infrastructure package over 8 or 10 years and fix all the roads, fix all the bridges, pump money into the school systems, but at a local level. Let's decentralize it. I think the people in Nevada know better of what's going on in their state than the people in D.C. and vice versa. So why don't we decentralize all of it, give a little bit more power to the people locally, and let's try and get things fixed. What we're doing right now isn't working in any regard. Everything's crumbling. The justice system has failed people like Virginia for years. Roads are destroyed. Have you been to the airports lately? I mean, we're lucky in Las Vegas. We have a beautiful airport, thank God. But I mean, the airports in New York, every time I go to visit, the JFK and LaGuardia have been under construction for the past three decades. Are you ever going to fix it? I mean, what the hell's going on? Don't tell me you don't have the money. What are there? You can't throw a rock in a certain area of New York and not hit a billionaire. You're taking plenty of taxes. What is going on? See, and I don't know how we can't. That's another issue that we should all be able to agree on, but we can't. And then what happens is the political theater again, all the fighting, and real issues like the one we're talking about, the one that concerns just about everybody, gets pushed to the side and hopefully, in their mind, gets ignored and forgotten about again. But this time around, that's not going to happen. Patty says, yes, but local level here in Cali bought us a non-usable and canceled bullet train. Shoot me now. Well, Patty, we're in the same thing. We got like a Hyperloop train situation from Las Vegas to California. Now get this. Anyone who is familiar with Las Vegas to California understands that ride is ridiculous, right? So they want to do a Hyperloop train to Victorville? What's in Victorville? I don't even stop there to take a whiz when I'm driving through to go to LA. So I'm going to stop there to rent a car? What, a horse and buggy? You guys going to have a camel depot for me to hop on and take a ride down to Los Angeles? How about a bullet train all the way to Los Angeles? Too difficult for you guys to figure out? Who am I guess? Virginia says, you're saying everything we are thinking. So many of us know this. What is going to take for us to revolutionize the way we live, teach, and need? It's going to take a lot of tough conversations, right? And a lot of people not scared to have those conversations. We have to stand up for what we know is right. And we can't just go along to get along because it's easy. We got to stand up sometimes, right? Any journey worth going on, there's going to be some obstacles on the way. As somebody who backpacks and climbs and hikes, there is no place I've ever been that was worthwhile that didn't cause me to sweat and have tears and blood to get there. So this is no different, right? We're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get this changed. We're going to have to fight together as one voice, without fractures, without people ganging up and breaking off into little groups. Everyone together. We all have the same goal in mind. So we need to stay on that path and stay focused, because they can't handle it when we come focused like that. Patty says, please keep me laughing amidst the ripoff of us taxpayers. I mean, it's a joke, right, Patty? We don't pay state tax in Nevada, thank God. So at least it's not our tax dollars. It's everyone who comes here and is getting just smashed with that luxury tax, strip tax. That's what's paying for all of this jazz. But here's the rub. Nobody's coming. With this pandemic, there's nobody coming here. Maybe this Friday I'll go up to the strip and I'll record what's going on and I'll post a video for you guys. It's like a ghost town. It's sad what's going on. And hopefully, we start to open some things up, and it looks like we're moving that way. But as of now, geez Louise, things are rough. Anthony says, would love an airport like the one in Singapore. Hell yeah, AJF, that would be sick. I'd love, it would be nice to have some real nice airports here, right? God forbid we have some fantastic infrastructure in the richest country in the universe. What's our GDP? Like $22 trillion a year? We can't figure it out with $22 trillion a year? I balance my budget every month. My bills are paid. My budget's nowhere near what the United States government's budget is. How can you possibly spend more than $22 trillion in a year? Pop says, gang, I wish no ill to most people, but I hope Underpants, G-Max, Richard, Darren, Glenn, JLB, Sarah, Leslie, Les, Leon, Adriana, Jeff, and Bill have a very bad week. Yes, I agree with that. I hope they do too. I hope that their milk is spoiled. I hope that they forget things at the grocery store. I hope that, their favorite TV show doesn't DVR for them. And really what I hope is that they get a visit from the feds. Because all of them that you mentioned right there, all of them, does that cover it? They all deserve it. A nice visit from the federal government. And the feds like to come and get you nice and early in the morning, right? Like 5:30 in the morning. And they'll come get you on like a Friday and shit. So you got to spend at the very least the whole weekend in jail. They have it all, set. So let's see some of that. Let's see some of that vigor, some of that gusto. They love kicking in doors. How about they start kicking in some of these doors? Not a bad idea, right? I mean, I think we could all agree on that too. Yeah, Pop says a visit from the feds. Yeah, that would be great, right? And I hope CNN's there to film it like they were there for Roger Stone. Let's get this on. I'd love to see their face when they're getting arrested. Imagine Ghislaine Maxwell on film. We're seeing her getting hemmed up. I would have watched it on repeat over and over and over and over and over again. Had to make a GIF of it. It would have been a whole adventure. So let's see it. If that's the way we're moving, right? If that's how the high-profile arrests are going these days, all I'm asking for is consistency. And when you ask for consistency, you get people bugging out, right? Oh my God, you're biased. Really, you're the one who's biased, homie. Step out of your echo chamber for 5 minutes. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's called being an adult. A lot of people should probably try it. Because we have a lot of little children, it seems like, running around. Jen says, we could do a live watch party with popcorn. Oh, yeah. I love popcorn, but I don't like kernels, though. I want the puffs, right? And then get the nacho cheese, dip it in the nacho cheese. Oh, my God. Forget it. When I first started dating Carrie, I used to do that, and she looked at me like I was crazy. And then I introduced her to the popcorn in the cheese and all of its brilliance. She hasn't been the same since, folks. Addicted now, always trying to steal my cheese when I have some popcorn and cheese, AJF says, killing brown kids 10,000 miles away and paying off the corporate overlords be expensive, bro. Facts. Quote of the day. Quote of the day, AJF. These fools, they think we're out here cheering on their endless war still. They got another thing coming. Rob says, I can't stand any of these vile creatures, but there's something about Kellen and Ross. I want to see them in the hot seat first. Yeah, look, Kellen especially, right? She was a lieutenant, bro. She was somebody in a powerful position. She played a big part in what happened to these girls. I want to see her hemmed up. You know what, Rob? What I'll do is I'll drop a flashback episode about Adriana, and that way we can go through it like that. You know what I mean? Make it comprehensive, so you can check it out and go through it, listen at your own pace and all of that jazz, instead of me just giving you a rundown. Jen says, now an accountant says she was a victim. Welcome to Miami. What's with Florida and all of these weird people, right? I know the weather's beautiful down there, but geez Louise. Kristen says, do the survivors have to appear for court and testify in July? Well, I don't know about if they have to. I think that there's going to be a lot of girls that are going to want to testify against Maxwell, even if they're not mentioned in the complaint or the suit. A lot of times the prosecution will still bring the girls forward and let them have their say. So I believe that that's going to happen in this case, and I wouldn't be surprised if the prosecution has a couple of aces up their sleeve moving forward. Jen says, there were pics not long ago of her leaving church with her second husband. Yeah, wasn't that when she cried when she was confronted? Rob says, if she was an adult, she doesn't get to claim victim status. No, she does not. If you're an adult, you know better, man. I don't want to hear anything about it. If I know better, you know better. And there's no gray area, right? We're not talking about a 19-year-old that had a relationship with a 16-year-old. We're not talking about gray area. We're not talking about, there's a dumb kid, geez. We're talking about powerful people using their power as sway to rape and abuse people. Yeah, good old Catholic Church. Jen says, yep, Catholic Church, second husband. Mm-hmm. Yep, Jen, I am what you call a recovering Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and not my jam. Organized religion is not my jam. People ask me all the time if I'm religious, and honestly, I don't know. I'm agnostic. I really don't know what's out there. I don't know God, aliens, spaghetti monster. I have no clue. Right? But I'm not arrogant enough to sit here and preach like I know what the deal is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I know for sure God's real. Oh, nope, I know for sure God isn't real. I don't know. Lucky I know how to tie my shoes. Never mind, ageless questions of theology, right? So for me, I'm more of a spiritual person, I believe, at this point. I don't know. I think religion should be kept to people, keep it to yourself for the most part, right? And you don't need to be overbearing with it either way. But I certainly don't have a problem with religious people. I think they have just as much of a right to have their beliefs as anybody else. As long as they're not trying to hamper my life for the way I'm living, then I'm totally fine with it. That's how I feel about everybody. What you do behind closed doors in your own home with other consenting adults is your business. I mean, I'm not here as the arbiter of how to live or acting like a moral compass for anybody. I'm a gray character filled with flaws. I've never done anything really worthwhile in my life. I'll tell you, I'm not scared to admit it. Every job I've ever had was self-serving so I could benefit, not because I thought it was good for society or because I thought that it would be beneficial to anyone besides myself. Facts. But guess what? Every now and then, even gray characters like myself have to, do something good. And all kidding aside, this thing that I'm working on, this project, this podcast, I'm proud of it. I feel like I've done a lot of good work here. And I think that to have no push, no marketing, no help, just me, one guy and his beard, I think I've done a pretty good job of pushing this thing forward. So, Rob says, dude, we have so much in common. I'm just about to type stuff and you say it out loud. Hey, great minds and all, right? you get it, Rob. We're from the same generation, bro. We grew up the same way. I'm sure we grew up going to the same kind of punk rock shows, skateboarding, acting the fool, hanging out in mosh pits, wearing a bomber jacket with, green hair. All of that. That was my life. Running around at a punk rock show wearing a Wu-Tang shirt. You know what I mean? So I'm sure we grew up pretty much the same way, bro. Elizabeth says, they say great minds think alike, but your minds do too. Yeah, you're right. I'm so scatterbrained, I don't even know how to explain it. Jen says, punk's not dead. I'll tell you what, Jen, it sure seems like it's on oxygen. Since when do punk rockers come out and take sides politically? I was disgusted when Fat Mike from NoFX got involved all politically like he's some big Democrat all of a sudden. That's not what punk rock's about. It's about F the system, right? The whole system's out to get us. But these dudes are out here in the bag like things are going to change. Oh, yeah, we're Democrats now. Even Bad Religion made me sad, dude. Bad Religion is forever coming out and they're against endless war. They're against everything that I believe in for the most part. But these dudes, man, I don't know. So, thankfully, my boys from Rancid have kept it real and just continue to pump out great jams. But musically, punk is it's my favorite genre of music. I love the feeling, right? You go to a good punk show, that huge mosh pit breaks out, you hit the pit, bro, it's going crazy, everyone's going ham, you fall down, someone picks you up, it's the camaraderie inside of that pit, and you only find that at punk shows, really. You go to metal shows and people are looking to smash on you in the pit, right? It's a fight. I've gotten a million fights in the pit at metal shows. But at punk rock shows, man, very rarely did I ever get into a fight. Unless some chat-ass moron would show up, right? Some punk rock jock or something. Patty says, punk scared me. Now bring yourselves on. Yeah, I get it. Punkers are a breed of their own, right? I was never like a grunge punk, a dirty punk. I'm, street punk. But I had a lot of friends who were. It's just... what I say to people all the time is punk rock's just like hip hop, but it's poor white kids talking about it instead of kids from black poor neighborhoods. And they're talking about their story to fast guitars. Basically every single bit of punk rock is from a bunch of poor white kids. Patty says, someone peed on my leg at a Who concert. That's pretty funny. I worked a bunch of Who concerts when I worked at the Joint, like 2 or 3. And wild. Yeah, it's just a great genre of music, right? And it used to be a genre full of rebels, dudes that didn't give a damn. Can you imagine talking to I don't know, insert any punk legend here and ask them about Jeffrey Epstein and get the response from them and see what they think. Pretty sure Johnny Rotten would want to punch him in the mouth, Pretty sure Tim Armstrong wouldn't take too kindly to it. Brett Gurewitz, none of these guys. So, that genre of music has just always been my jam. Just my speed. But I'm pretty eclectic, honestly. Nowadays, as I've gotten older, I like a lot of varied music, so. Harita says, do you like metal? Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty eclectic, bro. I like a lot of stuff. I've been to a ton of metal shows, ton of punk shows, ton of hip-hop shows, regular rock shows. Hell, I went to a Coldplay concert a couple of times as well. So, I like it all. H says, have you heard Death from Above 1979? No, I have not, but I'll check it out. They got some stuff on YouTube, I'm sure. Oh, Patty says, plus the country dude who serenaded you at Joshua. That was so sick. I couldn't believe that happened. This dude came over and like he was so thankful. He was such a gracious guy, him and his girlfriend, when they came over. And he was like, can I play a song for you? And I was like, what? Are you? Yeah, hell yeah. And he got out and he was jamming. I mean, he was playing some Hank Williams Jr. He was just jamming. And it was cool, man. I really I don't know. This was a cool trip. I got to experience some cool, wild stuff on this trip I've never seen before. Like getting to shoot Arch Rock. I've never been able to shoot that before. It's always been a hassle. Got to do that. The only problem was it was like 29 degrees at night and the wind was whipping at like 30 miles per hour. So it was freezing outside of the tent. When I had to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, oh my God, I felt like I was on the Franklin expedition. Rob says, Bobby, I was just about to type, can we have Johnny Linden interview Prince Andrew? Oh, God, that would be great. That would be, I mean, I don't have much money, but whatever I do have, I'd love to throw up to get that interview going. Can you imagine? Oh, that would be epic. He should start a podcast. He should definitely start a podcast. Because we need more voices like that. I mean, you know, it's sad. All of these people that act like they care and they come out in public and they fake the funk, how many of them have stood up and reached out to somebody like Virginia? Hey, what can I do? I know that you had this situation with Epstein and I know you got screwed by the government and I know you got screwed by everybody involved in this. How can I help? What can I do? Is there a charity that we can work together and get things moving? Where is all of that? Where is Leon Black's bitch ass talking about, oh, I'm going to donate $200 million. Okay, cool. Donate it to the fund, the compensation fund. But it's not about that for them. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about refurbishing their image. It's about making sure that they look good in public, right? And we're not gonna fall for that. They're not gonna wrap themselves in their charity. They're not gonna use that as armor. And as much as the breast cancer is an issue that is so important to me, even someone like Eva Dubin with all the money she's pumped into it and stuff, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. So, you know, they're not gonna hide behind this shit. We're not gonna let them do that this time around. AJF says those were some beautiful shots though. Hey, thanks. Me and Christian got some great shots, bro. Dude, you should come out on a trip with us, AJF. Next time I go, I'll let you know. And if you can fit it in, come out with us, dude. Fun ass time. I got an extra tent and everything for you. What I'm going to have eventually, though, is I'm working on getting a trail van right now. That's what I'm saving up for. So once I get myself a trail van, it's definitely going to be on because I'm going to drive all over the place. It's going to have Wi-Fi in it, satellite, everything. So I could take the podcast on the road. Wherever I'm at climbing or hiking, there'll be no problem of me finding service. So whether it be this podcast or what we move on to after this, when all of these people are in prison, we'll be able to stay in contact and I'll be able to take it on the road, go to like Yosemite, Yellowstone, drive all the way up to Alaska. It's going to be sick. I can't wait. And once I get the van, if you guys want, we can document it. Like I'll document it as I'm, refurbishing it. We'll do like a vlog and, take you guys along for the ride with me a little bit. Obviously, we won't do it here on the podcast because I know there's a lot of people that just want to come here for the content, right? They're not here to really get to know me better. And that's cool. That's perfectly fine. I'm totally okay with that. As long as they're here for the podcast and for the information of what's going on in the case, cool. We don't got to be friends. But I think here on the Sunday night episodes, it's a little different, right? So I'll be definitely sharing some links with you folks. And, that journey as we move forward with the van, I think will be something interesting for you folks to check out as well. Because, like I said, I'm going to be using it to get around. How great is it going to be when I pull up to Zorro Ranch and I'm able to sleep in that van and not worry about overhead of being in a hotel room? See what I mean? It'll be just more feasible for me to get things done. Pop says, are the nights cold in Joshua Tree this time of the year? Yeah, some nights, like I said, it was 29 degrees while I was there. So it was cold as hell. I mean, when I'm in my tent, my sleeping situations, my rig is great. I have, everything I need to stay warm. Like I could stay warm in up to about negative 40 degrees. I'd be fine in my tent with all of the different gear I have. But it was like 29 degrees, and the wind is the worst though. Like for my uncle who I went with, his tent, he didn't have, it's a little loud in the wind. Me, I have a Nemo Hornet. Shout out to Nemo, by the way. I'd love a sponsorship. So, I have a tent that's built for that kind of thing. So it wasn't that loud for me. And I had it guide out, and it was nice and set up correct. And so it was perfect. I was good to go. But the nights do get cold there. The nights get cold as hell in the desert. Yeah, AJF for sure, man. I'll hit you up about that. Absolutely. Because I'm looking at all kinds of things right now. Rob says, gotta crash. Be well, everyone. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Hope to see you all next Sunday. And some good news is released in the coming week. Thank you, Virginia, for dropping in. All right, Rob. Thanks, bro. Good. As always, man. Thanks for coming by and chatting with us. It's always a pleasure, dude. I've said this several times. Rob's one of the OG listeners of this show. He's been riding with me for quite some time. Candace as well. Jen and Lisa, God, all of you that are here on Sundays pretty much have been here rocking and rolling with me from the jump since the podcast was nothing. So I really appreciate all of you guys more than I could ever, I can't really express that. Like the appreciation is like, if we ever meet, I got to buy you.
Recruiters, hiring managers, and business owners, reduce your cost per candidate by about 50% by partnering with CareerBuilder. Our technology helps optimize your process and connect you to qualified, diverse candidates at every stage of the hiring funnel. From your job posting to automatic candidate engagement and one-click apply. CareerBuilder Talent Acquisition Suite. Software packed with talent. Visit hiring.careerbuilder.com/recruit.
In the state of Texas, there are countless cold cases. On Gone Cold, Texas True Crime, you'll hear detailed stories of unsolved slayings, disappearances, and other perplexing mysteries that have stumped law enforcement for years or even decades. The Texas True Crime tales that have been forgotten. You can find Gone Cold, Texas True Crime, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Some dinner type deal because, it was rocky when I first started. I didn't know what I was doing. I have no idea how to do a podcast, and you guys stuck with me, and, I appreciate all of that. It's easy to jump into a podcast when all the kinks are worked out already and there's a bunch of content and shit. But you guys were there with me when I was still trying to figure things out. I didn't know what was what. I didn't know who the players were or, we grew together. So that's one of the coolest things about these Sundays for sure. And people like Rob, I don't even call them listeners, people, friends basically at this point, like Rob, man. It's, thanks, dude. I guess I'm going the long way to saying thank you for being such a supporter of the content and of what we got going on. So I get a question here via email, and the question is, what book am I reading right now? Right now, I am reading a book called Abominable by, what's his name? Oh my gosh. Dan Simmons, the same guy who wrote The Terror. And it's about a trip to Mount Everest. It's like right in my wheelhouse. So that's what I'm reading right now. Pop says, Bobby, I owe you a dinner in Midland, Ontario. Pop, I might take you up on that. I love Canada. I have to get up there at some point. So I might have to take you up on that, man. I love Canada, beautiful country. I've been out to Vancouver several times to go watch UFC events, and I've been to Toronto several times as well. So I definitely got to get out there at some point. Anna says, glad to see another fellow Canadian. Yeah, I have a lot of listeners from Canada. Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, America, obviously. But shockingly enough, I have listeners in Saudi Arabia, all the continents except Antarctica. I couldn't believe it, honestly. When I was looking at those stats, I was like, people in Saudi Arabia are listening to my podcast? It's probably a few of my colleagues that I went to school with and stuff who are working over there on special assignments as envoys and whatnot. I have a lot of friends that ended up working for, special services and stuff like that. Foreigners as well. A couple of people I went to school with. So it's probably them who are listening in. I mean, I can't see some people hanging out in the Bedouin camp listening to the podcast, but who knows with technology. And if they are, welcome to the podcast. And I'm glad to have you folks, right? But it's pretty wild. Yeah, I got a couple of them too, Jen. It's crazy, right? Jen says, I get excited with our Virgin Island listeners. It's crazy to think how many people are listening in and from all over the place. And I know you and Lisa experience the same thing. We have a lot of crossover listeners with our podcasts because, we've been worked closely together for a very long time. Just like with Rob, you and Lisa have been, in contact with me, since a few months of me starting this podcast. So, we have a lot of crossover audience, and I think that's great because the message really gets pounded home. And to tell you what, there aren't very many other people that I'd rather call my colleagues and my friends when it comes to this case than you and Lisa. So thank you for everything, all the help and getting the message out there. And I know you two deal with a lot of nonsense that I don't deal with as well. So you guys have really, picked up the baton. Yep, Elizabeth, it sure is. 100%. My fellow colleague and friend and fellow justice seeker. And all-around badass punk rockstress from Down Under, by the way. Can't forget that. That's the most important title, right? Badass punk rock chick? Definitely the most important title. Elizabeth says, sounds like it. I love your podcast. I'm a newer listener. I heard about you from when Bobby mentioned he was on it. Love that. Hell yeah, Elizabeth. Great. And that's what I hoped, when I first started talking with Jen and Lisa and I had them on my show and I went on their show, that's the whole point, right? So that we can talk to different audiences and we can all get together. We all have the same goal in mind. And when it comes to Jen and Lisa and myself, we don't, I know speaking from, I speak for all of us, honestly, I bet. And when it comes to this, in this regard, it's not about the fame or getting publicity or, having the most listeners. We want the same thing, us three. And our thoughts have aligned from the very beginning, what we've wanted. And it's been a pleasure getting to know Jen and Lisa and having them to fall on. They're both trained journalists. I am not. Gabriella says, same. Thanks to Bobby, I found Prince and the Pervert. See? Perfect. Gabriella, that's awesome. And thank you for chiming in. I'm glad that you're here this Sunday joining us. It's always a pleasure. Look, this is no longer just a couple of people being mad, right? This is a movement. Virginia and the other girls have started a movement. And the rest of us have just, we've piled on. And before, it was them standing alone, right? A couple of lawyers, maybe, a few supporters. Now it's them and a legion of us standing behind them, ready to call these people out at every turn. And I've never been an advocate for anything besides myself in my life, folks, all right? I'm not that kind of person. I don't get involved in things like this. I'm a pretty private guy, honestly. I don't really like people up in my shit, up in my business, and I don't dig it. It's not cool. It's not fun for me. I don't like it. But what I will tell you is this. These people, they made a big mistake. Gabriella says, I love your show. I listen to you every day. Shout out from the Bay Area. Gabriella, that means so much to me, right? Your minutes of your life are so important. You're never getting those back. and you spend them here on the podcast with me. It's humbling. And I hope that I live up to, what you guys expect from me. And there might be days where I'm off or, the show isn't as fire as it should be. And, I just try and keep it rolling, right? I just try and do better each day and try and make sure that the content is something that I think is going to be helpful and beneficial to the listeners. And when I hear that it is, that's motivation for me to keep going. Not getting rich off of it or trying to build my own profile. It's that you folks are, enjoying the content. So that's enough for me. Kristen says, God bless Jen, Lisa, and Bobby, and I'm not even religious. Cheers, all. Hey, thanks, Kristen, and I'll take it, right? I'll take all the blessings from all the gods. I don't care if it's from the pagan tree or Jesus or Buddha or whoever it may be. I need all the blessings I can get because, like I've said, I haven't always lived my life the right way. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a very flawed individual, and I think that's why I take this so seriously because I feel like I'm finally doing something that's not so selfish. Rob says, hey, Bobby, do you have any advice on how to get more support for this case? I hate it when I try to garner support from peers in my area, and most think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Especially when I start telling them the facts because the story is legit unbelievable. Hey, Rob, you know what I suggest in that situation and what I suggest to anybody in that situation? Have them listen to Dr. DeLay's episodes, all 3 of them. And then when they say, well, who's this guy? What are his credentials? Oh, he only has an PhD from Oxford in philosophy. Everyone says listen to the experts, right? Well, he most certainly is an expert. So I think that those episodes are definitely good resources for people who want to say that this is a conspiracy theory. And that's why I had him on to discuss that. He was very adamant about bringing this to light and talking about that. And I couldn't be more thankful for his contributions. Because, like I said, it's one thing for me to tell people that. You can blow me off. I'm not an expert in anything besides sarcasm and the Middle East, right? If I'm talking about geopolitics in the Middle East and what's going on in there, people who know me will listen. But besides that, why would I'm not some big-time philosopher or something, right? So, with that, you can give them episodes and say, look, this is a PhD saying this. Elizabeth says, I am so stoked. Tonight has been awesome with the crowd. Rob Kelly, of course, being number 1. I love it. Elizabeth says, where are you located? I am in Fremont. If that's for me, I am in Las Vegas, actually. I love me some Nevada. Nevada is home to me. Nevada, me. Oh, however the song goes. Anyway, I love this place. Oh, forget it. Patty says, Dr. DeLay versus Underpants, please. No way. There's zero chance that I kept my underpants on wants any of that smoke. That would be like when Tupac dropped the Hit 'Em Up song on the whole entire world to let everybody know the deal, right? It was just bodied right away. Nobody could hang. You knew right away when Tupac dropped that song that the whole entire beef was over. And that's what it would be like if Dr. DeLay had a discussion with old Underpants himself. He would body him, as we would say in the hip-hop world. Absolutely body him. It wouldn't even be fair. Honestly, it wouldn't even be fair. I know a lot of smart people. I've, been around a lot of smart people. But Dr. DeLay, whoo boy, that is one smart dude. Elizabeth says, good night all, and thank you again, Bobby. Good night, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming to the podcast. We're going to be wrapping up shortly anyway. I mean, we're rocking out now for what? Hour and 40 minutes? Right around the time we usually wrap up. I figure that's usually right around the time that everybody's tired of listening to me whinge. But again, these Sundays are awesome. And when I say I look forward to these Sundays, I really mean that. I count down the hours. I have this new video game I've been playing called Crusader Kings 3. And I can't pull myself away from it to do anything. But I had no problem pulling myself away from it to come do this. Rob says, was pissed. I don't agree with everything from Ben Shapiro by any means, but lost a lot of respect from him having Captain Underpants on. Gross. Yeah, look, Ben Shapiro has like a whiny-ass voice, and I'm going to say it right now, he stole my shtick. He's calling it the legacy media now. If you're listening, Ben Shapiro, quit stealing my material, bro. At least have me on to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. But all kidding aside, I've never been a big fan of Ben Shapiro. He comes off as pompous and hella establishment Republican, and I just don't dig it. I think I don't like snooty ass people. So he, not really my guy. I don't dislike him I don't think he's like a jerk off or anything like that, but he's just not my dude. I don't really, as far as those kind of people go, there's really no pundits that I really like. I mean, I don't care for any of them. I like Jimmy Dore, but he's really not even a pundit. He has a podcast, and the dude's smart as hell, right? A lot of my thoughts align with his. Not all of them. My thoughts don't align with anybody always, but here we are. Patty says, compliment, Bobby. Shapiro can't think for himself. I'm not a fan either, Patty. Like when I get in the car and I hear his like radio show on, his voice agitates me. Like I have to turn the channel. He has like this whiny ass like voice, right? Just not my shtick, not my thing, not my kind of person. Very establishment, shows up with like the mom jeans and a pair of New Balance. Whereas I'm showing up in like some cutoff camouflage shorts, a Bad Religion t-shirt, and some Chucks. You know what I mean? We're not the same. I am not the same as these people. And that's why I would never be welcomed in their world, right? I would love to get some credentials to be part of the White House pool at some point. Can you imagine turning on your TV and my big mouth firing off questions to whatever idiot is in charge? How long before they run me out? I'd be like, the guy that shows up, and before I get to D.C., they'd be arresting me. Yeah, you know how what I'm talking about, Patty, right? She says I'm dying mom jeans. They catch him in like the workout room. He's using like a shake weight, a 5-pound dumbbell. You know what I mean? He has like the headband on. He has, he's rocking out to like Billy Blanks. He got like the Thai bow going on in the background. He has one of his assistants spraying water in his mouth as he's doing it. He's one of those dudes. I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. Country club Republicans make me ill. They're just, I think of them and I think of Mitch McConnell, and it makes me want to just crawl out of my skin. They're just such clowns. They're not funny. They don't have a sense of humor. They're just, I don't know how anyone could want to be around people like that. And then Ben Shapiro, he is just the epitome of that. You know what I'm saying? The dude's never lifted a weight in his life, probably. He's never played sports. But he gets up there and he runs his big fat yap all the time, like he's king shit. I just don't like guys like that. I mean, he reminds me of like Don Lemon on the other side. Another guy, right? Mom jean wearing MFers. I don't dig guys like that. You know what I mean? And then they're always the people that are sitting there trying to give you advice about your life. Bro, really? I don't take advice from anyone wearing mom jeans and New Balance, okay? No advice from you. Keep it moving. Get out of here, okay? AJF says, the one I hate the most from that cohort, the new Republican media darling, is Tomi Lahren. She is a disgrace to my alma mater. Oh, yeah, dude, she's absolutely ridiculous. How can anyone listen to people like that? They're just running their yaps trying to get people fired up. They're not bringing anything to the debate. Oh, did you see what so-and-so did? He wasn't wearing a little flag lapel pin. Blah! Shut up. Shut up. Add something to the conversation for once. But they don't. That's not their shtick. And especially these dorky ass Republican Mitch McConnell types, right? These like status quo Republicans like Mitt Romney. Let's be real. Does anyone want to meet up with Mitt Romney for a night out to have a drink, or, well, I know he doesn't drink, but to have some food or anything? Does that sound fun? Doesn't sound fun to me. Certainly not in the least. Oh yeah, I'm sure Mitch McConnell's just a blast to sit around and hang out with. Oh, that Ted Cruz, he sure is the life of the party. What? No thanks. And on the flip side, don't think I want to hang out with Mr. Schumer either. All right? Yeah, I'm sure that would be a great time. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break with these people. Rob says, does he even lift, bro? Yeah, he lifts, the microphone every now and then and speaks into it maybe. But as far as the gym, I don't even think that Ben Shapiro could spell the gym, honestly. He's just one of those guys, typical country club, dorky ass, status quo. Brr, yeah, brr, the Republican Party's so great. Brr. Ben Shapiro. Poor guy. My real problem with him, I think, is that, like I said, he stole my material. Legacy media. He wasn't saying that. All of a sudden, it's legacy media this, legacy media that. Come on, man. Get your own material there, Ben. But back to Tommy Lahren, like AJF was saying. I just don't dig it. It's just... There's so many people like that, and you could just interchange them on the left and the right, and they do the same exact thing, and they function for the same purpose, right? Just to cause more divisiveness and to sow more seeds of people being pissed off at each other. And I just don't dig it. I don't really care for it. Here's an idea. Why don't you destroy policy? Why does it always have to be some sort of ad hominem attack? Hey, that's Tom McDonald, Rob. Tom McDonald's fire, bro. I like that dude. I mean, his music anyway. I like the things that he's talking about. He's aware as hell in his music, and I feel his song canceled for sure. I feel the same way. Like, I go for broke on this podcast because I can't be canceled. What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna talk to? Me? Oh, Bobby, I don't like what you're saying. Here's an idea. Don't download the podcast. Pretty simple. I have no corporate overlords. I don't have nobody else that tells me what to do. The only person on this planet that can tell me what to do is Carrie. And, she really doesn't do that too often, thank God. Patty says, every single one went to Ivy League, period. White Sox. Yeah, it's all Ivy League, garbage. That's just, it's a joke. Rob says, my brother-in-law just ordered all of his albums autographed. Tom McDonald we're talking about. Yeah, look, Carrie loves that new song, Gang Gang, by Tom McDonald and his chick, Nova, whatever her name is. I forget her name right now. But Carrie just playing that song on repeat. I think she added it to her workout playlist for when she's teaching, too. She's into it right now, so... Yeah, I dig Tom McDonald. I like independent thinkers. By now, everybody that listens to this podcast should know that I'm an outlaw at heart, right? We've talked about this, and I like people who go against the grain and who are willing to say what they believe and how they feel. Nobody should be able to put you in a box. Nova Rockefeller, that's her name. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, my girlfriend's really digging the song right now, that Gang Gang song, and I kind of dig it too. It's catchy as hell. So. I dig Tom McDonald, and I think that his message is fire, right? There has to be opposition. The pendulum can't just swing all the way one way or the other. AJF says, people can't debate policy if it's always for sale. Can't alienate potential customers. Facts. And you also can't debate policy if you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's what I have found with a lot of the new Johnny-come-latelys who have just gotten involved in politics. This has been my jam since I've been 20 years old. I'm going to be 41 next month. So I've been doing this for 21 years now. I've been involved in following politics and keeping an eye on things. So this isn't new to me. When all these people who have been posting cat videos for 2 decades now get involved, and all of a sudden they all think that they know everything about politics. Meanwhile, they don't know the Magna Carta from a Rolex watch. So I just really can't take people seriously when it comes to policy. Some folks, don't get me wrong, I know that sounds snooty of me and kind of elitist, but it's maddening when people try and BS you when you're talking politics, right? Or use their opinion like that's a fact. Now, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're certainly not entitled to your opinion as fact when we're talking about geopolitics, especially when it can be proven otherwise. Because I have no time for that or patience. When I talk politics, that's what I want to talk. Policy. I'm not here to shit on you or talk bad about you. We do that in a different forum. That's not what politics is about. Let's talk about the policy. Let's talk about what the conversation is. And then, go from there. But I think for the most part, even with how divided the country is, I think if we sat down, and when I say we, I don't mean us, I'm talking about in general, everybody. If we sat down and we had a conversation, I think we would find that we all have more in common than we have in, than we have in differences with each other. And I think we should exploit that more, and we should try to push that more, and we should work from there, right? Work from there out. Then, we build a couple of victories together. We realize, all right, we can work together. And then we tackle the harder issues. But we don't know, nobody's interested in that. It's still a blame game, and it's still, it's funny. I hear people talk about, oh, we want unity. We want unity. But really, if you really wanted unity, it's a give and take, right? That's what détente is. You give a little, and you get a little. And you might not agree with everything, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes that's how a negotiation works out. But a lot of people that are talking about unity really don't want unity. What they really mean is they want compliance. And if you don't comply with what they really want you to do, then you're going to be persona non grata. You're going to be exorcised from the religion. You're going to be canceled. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, I don't know. I don't know where we go with that stuff, folks. I don't have the answers. I wish I did. I won't even act like I do. As you all know, I don't BS you on this podcast. I talk about what I know about, and if I don't know about something, I certainly let you know that as well. But what I can tell you is this: we're making a difference. This podcast, all of you who are listening, we're making a difference. And we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it rolling. And we're going to keep these people on their heels, because guess what? Virginia and the rest of those girls, they deserve it. They haven't had nobody standing up for them forever. And that's done, right? That part of this story is over. And people who know me, I'm loyal to a fault. When I ride with you and I rock with you, I ride and I rock with you. That means something to me, right? Loyalty means something to me. My word means something to me. And when I roll with you and I ride with you, we're homies. We're gang, right? We're gang, as Nova Rockefeller and Tom McDonald would say. And that's where I'm at now with these survivors and on the side of justice and society as a whole. We're riding together till the wheels fall off. And all of you that come here every Sunday and put in all the time, none of this would be possible without you folks putting your foot to the pedal and demanding justice the way you have demanded it. So I'm pumped, and I'm ready. I'm ready and willing to go forward. Before hockey games, a lot of the players will smell some smelling salts, and that's how I feel before every podcast. I'm fired up, ready to go. AJF says, unfortunately, neither side are worth uniting with, especially when both camps are splintering hard. The most egregious amongst both sides, we have to ignore them. And regular people like us have to just get together and snatch the narrative, right? We have to show that we can work together, regular folks. And if we can work together and we could bridge that gap, they're going to have no choice but to come along with us, or they're going to be on the outsides of society like they always have been. Now they've gotten a little bit of a foothold. They've gotten a little taste, right? And they feel like if they can divide things up more, they can garner more power. But we can't allow that. Regular people like me and you, we got to make sure we're being nice to our neighbors. We got to be cool to our relatives who might think differently than us. And we have to understand that the power truly lies within us, not with them. And if we fight, we're ceding that power right back to them. And that is something I am not willing to do. I am not willing to give them power over me anymore. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's worth fighting for. And I'm going to fight for it, tooth and nail, every day on this podcast. And after this podcast, what, you think we're not going to be covering corruption? Come on. the current administration, administrations that come after. We're going to be on it. And we're going to make sure that we stay on target. With that said, folks, I think we're going to wrap up for tonight. We're coming up on 2 hours. So thank you for everybody who joined in. Thank you, everybody who participated. And a special thank you to Virginia for popping in and, like usual, adding a bunch of context and a bunch of information that helps the story move along. And folks, all I could say is thank you all for the continued support. And moving forward, you can expect a whole lot more. All right, everybody, that is going to do it. Have a great night, everybody. And tomorrow morning, I will be right back on the podcast. And you know how it goes. We'll pick up where we left off. Good night, everyone. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. There are no links that go with this episode, but usually you can find them in the description box. There is the link to the PayPal in that description box, and you can also find the link for the Facebook live stream so that if you're looking for that next week and you couldn't find it, it will be there for you to use. All right, everybody, have a fantastic night.
Spring into Lowe's and plant the seeds of possibility. With premium mulch for just $3.68 a bag and Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil just $4.28 a bag, you'll grow possibilities right from the ground, like skipping the grocery store because your yard grew the whole salad. And it grew you tulips, too. Oh, yard, you shouldn't have. Visit your local Lowe's or shop online at Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, mulch offer in-store only. Selection and offer availability varies by location. Offers valid through 3/10, U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.